Only two remain, and they're playing for one. That one. The Lombardi Trophy perched where we will be all next week in front of the Bellagio fountains as Super Bowl 58 set to take place next Sunday, a week from Sunday, on CBS. A look at your matchup between the Niners and the Chiefs, a rematch of Super Bowl 54. And I don't know. Someone's going to have to knock some sense into me. Luckily, we have wagering experts at the ready. But Patrick Mahomes getting points, it opened at 3. Some of us, raise your hand, holding it at 3. Now sitting at 1.5. Movement has calmed since yesterday's opening cash came in on KC. But you see it right there. When Pat's getting points against what maybe is an overvalued San Francisco team, hard to argue. Maybe they'll make the case for us. Larry Hartstein, Mike McClure joining us with their thoughts on that 1.5 where it stands right now. And I mean, if you're riding the trend of Patrick Mahomes getting points, you've cashed some tickets. He's gone on the road. He's answered the questions. And this offense is now matching the output of what the defense has given them all season long. Larry, you look at 1.5 right now, and your first thought is what?
My first thought is jealousy that you got 3. I would take as much of +3 as I could possibly get. There's no way that this should be 3. I will lean and take the Chiefs at +1.5. I do think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a great game. But you look at a couple of factors, and number one, Joe, is Steve Wilks as the defensive coordinator. He loves to play zone. He only played 142 snaps of man this entire season out of over 1,100 snaps. And you know what Patrick Mahomes does to zones? He just takes them apart. And we saw it against the Ravens in that first half before they played a lot of tight man. Pick them apart 8 yards, 10 yards, up and down the field. And you have to play man to have any chance against the Chiefs. And I don't think the Niners are going to do that. So I do see a lot of long Kansas City drives. And then on the other side, Brock Purdy was good. He made the plays when it counted. But we've seen him struggle with some tip passes, especially against the Ravens when they had the 4 interceptions. The Chiefs with Chris Jones and Karlaftis, they lead the league in batted down passes at the line. It's going to be a classic. I think it's going to be 24-23 Chiefs, but I will take the 1.5.
I'm with you, Larry. It's an absolute classic in the making here. But, you know, when you look at the line here, Joe, you see the 1.5. I would say the 1.5 is an appropriate spread. If it was flipped, if it was Kansas City minus 1.5 here, then I think things would be priced a little bit more appropriately. So I'm definitely going to be on the Kansas City side here. Patrick Mahomes has the best defense he's worked with in his career by a significant margin. And now you're giving him time against a zone defense, as Larry mentioned. He's going to pick them apart with long 5 to 9 minute drives, just like we saw in the first half against Baltimore. You're going to see it again here against San Francisco. And what that means is Brock Purdy is going to have to be nearly perfect because possessions will be limited. If they're not able to score and get touchdowns on a few of those opening drives, they're going to be in a world of trouble here. Keeping in mind, this is a very comfortable environment for Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. They regularly play in this building. This will be Mahomes' 5th game as an NFL quarterback in this building.
And we heard them say it early this season, maybe even preseason. Travis Kelce looked at Patrick Mahomes and said, we kind of like that building. 4-0 now in Allegiant Stadium for the Chiefs since the inception of that great site where Super Bowl 58 will take place. And when you look at it, last 3 Super Bowls, 3 underdogs are your winning tickets. 28-28 is the current going rate as it pertains to totals. No total attached to Super Bowl I. We're looking at 47.5 right now. How do we break this tie, Mike McClure?
This one's so tough here, Joe. You know, my computer's got the number at 47, which says lean under. I actually have a slight over lean. And the reason for that is I think that the San Francisco defense is highly overrated. And then when you look at what Kansas City's been able to do, I think they've figured things out a little bit offensively. So I'm looking for some efficiency there. But it's a dome. It's a controlled environment, perfect throwing conditions, perfect kicking conditions. Should help a lot on the San Francisco side. We know how good Butker is for Kansas City. This, to me, has all the makings of a game that could actually shoot out a little bit. So I am not touching the total here. Computer wants me to lean under. I'm telling the computer I know more. I lean over slightly.
Well, I will go under 47.5. The early move was on the under, open 48. You could definitely take the second half under because that's been automatic with the Chiefs. 18-2 this season, second half unders. They're giving up less than a touchdown in the second half, which goes to the adjustments that Steve Spagnuolo can make. So I think the Chiefs defense will be fine with those great corners who, Lamar Jackson sat back in the pocket and nobody came open. So that is going to work for Kansas City. And on the other side, I think the Chiefs are going to have those long, methodical drives. Not sure if they cash those in for touchdowns every time. So I'm definitely going to lean under on the total.
Yeah, I mean, you get 2 weeks to wager on one game. There's going to be exposure for the books all across the board. So let's expose ourselves here to a player prop market that maybe we think there's an edge on right now. There's going to be movement on those numbers as well as injury and news starts to trickle in and usage begins to be picked apart even further. Larry, take us through your player prop that you see right now as an opportunity.
Yeah, I'll give you two, Joe, that I really love. Brock Purdy over 10.5 rushing yards. We saw him scamper for 48 yards against the Lions, and now he's facing a defense that plays a lot of man, that blitzes, and those corners, their backs are turned sometimes, and he is going to have to take off. Lamar Jackson should have taken off many more times, and they might be in the Super Bowl, but he just kept waiting and waiting for guys to get open. He held the ball for about 3.5 seconds. I think Brock Purdy showed what he can do with his legs. It was a big factor in that 49ers comeback. I love him over 10.5 rushing yards. And on the other side, Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball at least 37 times. We know that the 49ers run defense has been somewhat vulnerable, but with the zone defense they play, I trust Andy Reid to come out throwing to attack the weakness, and that is let Patrick Mahomes just throw the ball down the field. A lot of short passes to Kelsey and Rice, etc. Let's go over 36.5.
I like that, Larry. You definitely keep the football in Patrick Mahomes' hands. Good things will happen for you. For me, I want to look at Deebo Samuel, and I actually want to fade him in one market. That is the rushing yards market. First of all, I don't think they're letting him run quite as much as they maybe would have wanted to because of some of the injury concerns. And now that they've got Christian McCaffrey back there, there's really not a ton of reason to do so. Also, across the league, NFL teams, when you see some of the swing passes and screen passes, they're starting to throw those more as forward passes versus backwards passes because of the risk of some of the fumbles. So I think this is a great spot to fade Samuel's rushing yards. I think where he's going to damage the Chiefs the most is over the middle of the field in terms of yards after the catch. But I think the actual rushing opportunities for Deebo are extremely limited in this game. I'll go under 17.5 yards, which he has only hit 5 times this season.
Yeah, I love that play, Mike, because we saw it a day ago. Guaranteed contact. They're trying to take him away from it and getting him out of that rushing attack. Maybe doesn't guarantee contact in certain moments. We got plenty of time to pick it apart, but those are a couple you should jump on right now. Larry Hartstein, Mike McClure, we appreciate you as always. Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 going down all week long, beginning next Monday in Las Vegas. But we got you covered this week as well. The best in sports betting right here on CBS Sports HQ.